Hello everyone, this is Jay from BTYT Tech Library. Today we are going to do ethical hacking on HackTheBox principal machine for educational purposes. This box involves identifying ports 22 and 8080 followed by a foothold via CVE 2026-29000 in the Pack4j service. Final privilege escalation is achieved by exploiting the trusted user CA keys feature of SSH authentication to obtain root access. Let's hack this box. First, let's port scan with Nmap. I prefer to use Rust scan to find open ports quickly. The scan result shows us that ports 22 and 8080 are open. Let's plug into the ports variable and run the Nmap scan. It's not a 100% guarantee, but something tells me port 8080 smells like a JVM application or Jetty web server. Nmap scan results show we got open ports for SSH and Jetty web server. Okay, we don't have any clue about SSH, so let's look into the web page port 8080. The first thing that caught my eye is the word Pack4j version 1.2.0. Let's quickly search exploiting it. Unfortunately, nothing useful showed up. How about the web searching? The search results lead us to common vulnerabilities and exposures 2026-29000 Pack4j JWT authentication bypass. As you can see, attackers can generate forged tokens and authenticate as any user, including admins, using only the server's RSA public key. When we talk about how JWT authentication works, it's helpful to think of a server-signed JWT as a digital seal of authenticity. The server signs the token using its private key, ensuring that only someone with that specific key can generate a value token. From there, the server or anyone with the matching public key can easily verify that the signature is legitimate. While this signing process is standard, some sites take it a step further by using JWT encryption or JWE to keep the token contents confidential. This is exactly where things can get tricky. The flaw actually stems from a mix-up in how the Pack4j JWT library handles these encrypted tokens. Specifically, if a server is configured with both RSA public and private keys and is set up to accept both signed and encrypted tokens, it creates a dangerous opening. Because the system doesn't strictly distinguish between the two types during authentication, an attacker can exploit this logic to bypass security measures. We can investigate how to check our Pack4j JWT version online, but before we do that, let's not overlook Nmap scan result. Lucky for us, Nmaps can results show us the target system's Pack4j JWT plugin version 6.0.3, which contains a vulnerability. Before using this POC, always make a habit of reviewing the code which is not written to be executed by yourself. It looks decent. Let's refer to the README file and run it. Good. Now we have the valid bearer token to the target system. Okay, with this token, what should we do? That will be our next step. What quickly hits my mind is we can use it with API calls like we are a validated user or have proper authorization. So to do that, we need to know the API schema of the target system. Let's first busting it. Usually, my first list goes to is reft medium directories.txt, but this time, let's use another useful list, common.txt. We got some useful results, but for API, not that useful. As a next move, we can run again with a different list, or investigate the web page's source page. But wait a moment, we could sense a warmer feeling to checking on app.js file in static folder. By educated guessing, that page might have a good routing information for handling the front end. Cool! We found the API routing info and two addresses look delicious. API/settings and API/users. There are several ways to access this page with an authorization bearer token that we exploited to get. We can use Burp Suite or CURL, and it's super okay to use it if you want. But this time, let me use Firefox developer tools for less hassle's sake. As you can see, we are forbidden to access this page, for now. However, in the Network tab through Edit and Resend, let us append our authorization bearer token. then voila! Now we have the information that we seek. In the same way, we can explore API/users. Good. On this tab, we could see some kind of API configuration. The opt/principal/SSH and encryption key sections looks interesting. On the other tab, ooh, we got the user list. We can password spray these users if we want. But come on, port 8080 deployment service and SVC deploy? Are we really going to check them all? Let's check if we go through SSH. Cool, the Linux shell access message is up, so we can connect now. Now we are in. Checking the sudos list. Unfortunately, nothing to do with this time. We can continue to explore privilege escalation attack vectors, but this time, let's get back to what we already found when we reconning API routers. So in API/settings result, there are SSH path information that the system user uses. Let's head over there and see if there's anything useful. The file says readme, so let's read it first. It says about SSH authentication by CA. We usually access servers using SSH passwords or private keys, but this becomes a major scalability headache as an organization grows. Manually managing authorized keys across hundreds of servers is not only cumbersome but also creates security risks during employee offboarding or third-party access control. To solve this, we can implement a centralized trust model using SSH certificate authorities. Instead of relying on permanent raw keys, this system uses short-lived certificates. By placing your CA's public key on the server and configuring the trusted user CA keys directive, the server learns to trust any user presenting a valid CA signed certificate. During login, the server simply verifies the CA's signature while checking the certificate's principals and TTL. If the signature is valid and the certificate hasn't expired, access is granted instantly. It's a much cleaner and more secure way to manage access at scale. So, about the escalation of privilege, we got the CA. So let's create a SSH key. And signing with the CA with the root principal. One more thing, before we go, let's test the infamous copy fail on this machine. Does this 732 bytes code really privesc on every Linux distro after 2017? Cool. More details about this vulnerability and its mitigation, check out the descriptions below. See you next time.